What is going on, guys? This is Miasin. So, as most of you guys already know, Fire King is about to become the best deck once we get Phantom Nightmare because of the new Snake Eye cards. Even though some of them already exist at the moment, it's just not enough to really make it really good. We are still missing like the best one, as well as a Link 3 monster that is going to make this deck definitely much better. There is a lot to be, understood about this deck because it is kind of complicated. Like, do you want to stop it with hand traps or board breakers? And what kind of hand traps or board breakers are good against the deck? What are the reasons why people are so drawn to playing Fire King Snake Eyes? There's a lot of answers, obviously, because it's a very complex situation, and I will try to tackle that in this video. It's not really going to be a combo video or a deck profile, even though I will, of course, be showing you guys some interesting combos, but not really a deck list because I've already showed one in the past, and there's almost way too many deck lists for this Fire King deck at this point. Anyways, before we proceed, I would really appreciate you guys if you could smash the like and subscribe button for me real quick, and now let's get right into it. Alright, so first things first, it's really easy to understand why this deck is just so annoying when it can play so many hand traps and combo off with one single card. And to make matters worse, your one card combo is inherently very resilient to hand traps. So, for example, Snake Eye Ash can single-handedly play through Nibiru, which is very problematic. A one-card combo that can play through a giant meteor. What is this? Like, bro, 2024 is not looking good, huh? Anyways, normal summon, and that's gonna be getting the Populace. And this is where we can already see some form of misplays. In the past, I would actually link off the Populace for a Link Rebo, and then I would be getting the Populace in the grave. You know, we keep learning every single day, and we keep just improving our combos, and I actually realized that this is not a really good idea, because if you link off into Link Rebo early, you are turning on a very early Phantasme, so you want to link summon as late as possible, and you are also getting a Dark in the Grave, so that your opponent's Bestials will be able to be used earlier, and they might even interrupt you, depending on how you combo off. I will be getting into that shortly. But yeah, the correct play is to not link into Link Rebo and actually send that Populace right away into Ponyx. And that way you can even chain block the Ponyx, so you can go chain link on Ponyx and then chain link to the Populace, and then get itself in the spell and trap zone. So you're going to be getting the Sanctuary and then get the Fire King Island. So this one we have, we are on summon number 3. So Nibiru is completely useless, and then the Fire King Island will be destroying the Ponyx to get the Garunix, and then you will be using its effect in order to destroy the Barong. That is how you play around Nibiru. If you do not respect Nibiru and you want to play around other cards such as, I don't know, Triple Tactic Thrust, because you will be using effects on standby phase whether you like it or not, since the Barong and Ponyx are 2 mandatory effects. But if you want to play around Triple Tactic Thrust and you don't really care about Nibiru, you would be destroying the Kirin here, and then you would be reviving back the Ponyx. Again, I will be covering that very, very soon in this video. Anyways, now that we destroy the Barong, we are no longer afraid of Nibiru, because regardless of if our board gets swiped or not, we are still going to be getting the search off of the Barong for the Kirin, as well as the recycle back of the Ponyx, so it really doesn't change anything to our life. Transforming into Flamberge, and then you go into the Masquerena, revive back 2 fire monsters, and this is the only good moment that you have to Nibiru. Some people are telling others to wait until the final board. I couldn't disagree more, because if you let Fire King players proceed one step further, they will go into Promethean Princess, and then if you Nibiru after that, then at least they get the Promethean Princess in grave. They can still, summon the Kirin and then destroy it with the Promethean Princess, and that's gonna be one extra interruption for no reason, so you might as well just prevent them from getting to Promethean Princess and Nibiru right now, so that way they have literally nothing. They're only left with the Barong and Ponyx graveyard effect, and that's it, and obviously the Garunix. Now they proceed to end phase. Let's just assume that the hand traps are not there, because otherwise it's unfair, it's too good. On the opponent's turn, you have some mandatory standby phase effects, even if you don't want to trigger them, and that is the reason why Triple Tactic Thrust into Soul Release is one of the ways to beat this deck, but this is the catch, obviously. I just showcased a one-card combo that requires the opponent to have 2 cards to counter it. Like, do you understand why this is a problem? It's because you have 4 other cards to play with in your hand. You've got, a bunch of potential hand traps that might cover your opponent's 4 other card hand. Your follow-up is also very good. You still have your Fire King Islands, so if your opponent bricked and all he has is just a bunch of board breakers, next turn you can just keep playing the game. Even if your cards are getting banished off of Soul Release, it's fine. It's not shutting off your grind game completely, because you can still get access to another Garunix off of the Fire King Island. Island, Soul Release, and Nibiru are not enough for this deck. And that's the thing, actually, because even though the only action that we have here would be the Kirin to destroy the Ponyx, we don't have to do that. Obviously, you can just like afford to do nothing. But our opponent can't really OTK us because in battle phase, or at least end of main phase, we can just go into that. And then if our opponent attempts to jump over the Kirin, then we can just revive back the Ponyx and then destroy a card and then search off of the Ponyx. Or if our opponent attempts to Duster us, then it's not going to be bad, because then we can just also do the same thing, like protect by destroying the Kirin, and then revive back the Ponyx and then get a Surge Destroy card. This deck is so ridiculously resilient. There's just so many layers of threats. There's threats in the hand, in the field, in the graveyard. You are probably better off with hand traps, right? But sometimes it's a little more complicated than that, and I will be showing you guys another combo that's probably going to be convincing you that one option might be better than another. Alright, so with the exact same hand, you know, Snake Eye Ash and 4 irrelevant cards, we're not even going to assume that they're hand traps because otherwise it's way too good. We are able to pretty much like have total control over what we really want to lose to, because or rather win against or lose against. It depends on how you want to see things. It's like the glass half empty or half full. But basically, if we do not respect Nibiru, this is where we can play around Triple Tactic Thrust very, very well. So yeah, again, the very beginning of the combo is the exact same. You search the Populace and then you special summon it, and then you're going to be searching your 1-for-1 spell, and then send, summon the Ponyx, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, there you go. I'm actually so fast that I'm actually like ahead of the combo. It's actually insane. Oh my god. I know this deck inside and out. Hey, what do you want me to say? Ash is going to summon the Flamberge, and this is where it becomes a little tricky, well, I mean, a little more different. Because OCG players are actually, they're all doing that. So basically, they're searching the Garunix, but this time instead of destroying the Barong, rather, they were destroying the Kirin, because they can still recycle it back, and then they revive back the Ponyx. Very similar to the combo that I just showed, but the difference is that you have one extra body on the field, but you don't have the Barong, so if you get Nibiru after you summon the Masquerena and you revive back the 2 monsters, this time you really are left with nothing. You are not left with any standby phase effect, because the Ponyx was not destroyed. It was destroyed, but then it was revived back, so it forgot that it was destroyed, so you're not going to be getting it back. You're playing around Thrust because you're not triggering any standby phase effects, but you are losing to Nibiru. Now, of course, this is a 1-card combo, and Nibiru is so bad against this deck, as I've showcased, that people are not going to be side decking Nibiru against this deck. So in other words, it actually makes sense to play into Nib, and that's the reason why OCG players are doing that, and you can actually catch people off guard by playing Nibiru, even though it's not good against this deck, just because some players will intentionally play into it in order to counter some other cards, which is extremely important. That's the reason why I'm making this video. Again, if you don't believe me, just go look at some OCG breakdowns. Everybody is doing this trend right now in the OCG. But yeah, this combo is also going to be generating a much bigger end board for a pretty good reason, actually. So yeah, right back with the Masquerena with the Flamberge. Obviously, we would have done that with the first combo anyways. And then Sunlight Wolf. This is different though, because this time we do have an extra body on the field, which is the Ponyx, so we can go into a Lin Kribo, and then the Sunlight Wolf is going to be recurring back a resource, and then we can go into the Heat Soul. So with the other combos, since we wouldn't have had the Ponyx, we wouldn't have the ability to go into a Lin Kribo, and we wouldn't have been able to go into a Heat Soul. Heat Soul is basically a free draw too, but you also have to be careful and don't use the effect of Heat Soul on your opponent's draw or standby phase. And that's counterintuitive because you're trying to not play into Thrust, but then you're still using a monster effect, which is extremely stupid. But yeah, we have a pretty stacked graveyard as well, a lot of threats actually. So the Garunix, the Promethean Princess, the Ponyx, and we don't have to play Barong, which is basically a brick. So you're basically making your deck better, and you're making a bigger end board. And we have the Kirin right away. We don't have to rely on Barong. So that also plays around Dark World Puppetry. I've made a video about that. Yeah, it's a pretty good card. Either way, the Garunix would be getting banished, so it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. On your turn, you get the first draw off of the Heat Soul, and then you pass turn. Again, we're assuming that these hand traps are not a thing, and that the purely hand is also not a thing. And this is the thing, and the reason why Fire King is probably going to be tier 0, right? If our opponent has cards like Triple Tactic Thrust or Talents, he's basically forced to play into our board first, and then these cards might just not be enough at this point, because we were already playing so much, and we're going to be triggering a bunch of effects. We're going to be getting so many cards to our hand. Like, look at this, man. This is insane. We can go Kirin, destroy the Flamberge, and then summon the Masquerena on main phase. So again, the Thrust and Talents were dead at this point. And then we can get a bunch of effects, Masquerena into an Appaloosa for 3 or 4, and then we can get a Search, the Garunix can destroy the Kirin, and then we can also get back the Flamberge or the Populace, and then even if our opponent has like whatever, way to protect my friend. I couldn't care less. I'm still going to be getting like 9 cards in my hand, which is ridiculous. Like, look at this. I'm searching with a Ponyx. I'm searching with the Ash for another Ponyx, and then the Heat Soul is going to be drawing into another card. How many cards in our hand? Approximately a lot. And my opponent has like barely a few cards at this point to play with compared to like everything that I have, and I can still keep interrupting even more. So this Appaloosa can negate 3 times, or obviously if I wanted to use the Heat Soul 4 times or another material, and then the Garunix and the Kirin would be able to go into the Garunix rank 8 Xyz monster and then blow up the whole board. So that's 4 additional interruptions, and then we've got a bunch of hand shops of follow-up for days. So if we don't get OTK'd, you better believe that we are OTKing our opponent. And yeah, that is actually kind of filthy, and that is the reason why you don't really want to rely on cards like Thrust and Talons, because again, like I said, sometimes they're just not enough. But at this point, if you went for like a triple tactic Talon to steal the Appaloosa, then the Appaloosa can completely backfire on the Fire King player, because then you can use the Appaloosa to start negating your opponent's hand traps. But that's, again, the reason why cards like Imperm can be very good, because then you can negate your own Appaloosa, or you can just not make an Appaloosa and make an SP instead. You know, the world is your oyster at this point. That's it for this video. Again, just showing you guys that pretty much regardless of what you do and how you play it out, Fire King, they always have a way to just destroy you completely, and they can play around just about everything. So yeah, Soul Release is not the end-all be-all. Nibiru just doesn't do too much, and Droll also wouldn't have stopped this combo either that much. You still would have been able to end on 3 interruptions, which is pretty problematic. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.